Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. My name is Nurul Shifa Hassan, and today for my sociolinguistic project, I will be presenting a critical discourse analysis on Malaysia's Prime Minister announcement for extension of movement control order. So let's begin. My presentation today will consist of 6 parts, which are introduction, research question, review of related literature, research methods and data collection, findings, as well as conclusion. So as the introduction, let's look at the discursive events that could influence any options and choices of discursive strategies. So based on the timeline that can be seen here, we can see that the first case of COVID-19 in Malaysia was detected at the end of January. So throughout the whole month of February, the former government has put various efforts in curbing the virus transmission, which include closing the country's border, as well as trying to bring back Malaysians who were stranded in Wuhan, China. However, in the same month, there was also political unrest in Malaysia, which resulted into the fall of then government. So on February 29, Muhyiddin Yassin was selected by the king to become the 8th Prime Minister of Malaysia. The COVID-19 cases in Malaysia started increasing rapidly after that, especially after the tabligh gathering in Sri Petaling that happened from 28 February until 1st March. On 16 March, Government of Malaysia has announced that they will implement movement control order nationwide for 2 weeks starting from 18 until 31st March. On 25th March, Prime Minister of Malaysia announced that the movement control order will be extended for another 2 weeks until 14th of April. So based on this timeline, it is apparent why the Prime Minister has to utilize discursive strategies in his speech. Firstly, because of the political unrest that infuriated many Malaysian citizens. And secondly, the unavoidable extension of movement control order that will cause so much loss to the citizen economically speaking. This study aims to answer the question on what are the different kinds of discursive strategies used by Malaysia's Prime Minister when delivering announcement for extension of movement control order. The first literature review is on an article by Vara in 2015 where he talked about using critical discourse analysis as methodology in strategy as practice research. He said that the discursive strategies developed by Ruth Wodak are used by leaders to create consensus around a strategic idea. Ruth Wodak herself, in her article with Kuhn and Clark in 2011, said that other than facilitating consensus building, leaders also employed discursive strategies to achieve egalitarian interpersonal style, which enables the leadership to get people on board. This study employed a critical discourse analysis, specifically textual analysis, as a method of qualitative investigation to analyze the Prime Minister's speech. So the data of this study is the transcription of Malaysia's Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin's speech announcing the extension of movement control order on 25th March 2020. The 20-minute speech contained almost 2,000 words and was viewed from the Star YouTube channel. So this is what you will see once you click on the link. So based on the textual analysis done on the speech, there are five different discursive strategies used by Malaysia's Prime Minister when delivering announcement for extension of movement control order. There are bonding, encouraging, directing, modulating, and recommitting. So we will look into these examples of the discursive strategies one by one later on in the slide. So let's start on with bonding as the first discursive strategy. So bonding serves the discursive construction of group identity needed to achieve consensus. So an example would be when the Prime Minister started his speech by greeting the citizens and asking how were they doing. He said that, "My beloved Malaysian citizen, how are you?" So the examples shown here are actually the English translation of the original Malay text included as well in the example. So by asking how the citizens felt during the trying time, he is actually trying to establish a bond between himself and the citizens of Malaysia. So other example is when he said, "Even I also use FaceTime to chat with my grandkids since they are unable since since they are unable to visit their grandfather as usual," to show that he is also experiencing the same thing as how the citizens felt in this trying time. When he mentioned about the casualties for COVID-19, he made sure to extend his condolences to the families of the deceased. He said that, "In the meantime, I would like to extend my condolences to families of the deceased victim and pray that their souls be showered with God's grace." So this is to show that he is also grieving and sharing the same sadness with his people. The second discursive strategy is encouraging. So encouraging stimulates the participation of others to be active and creative in the discussion. An example of technique to encourage participation is by praising, just like what is shown in first example when the Prime Minister said, "I would like to thank everyone for having a high awareness of the importance of staying at home." Another word of encouragement is in the second example when he said, "In short, we are all able to assimilate with the situation accordingly. Whatever challenges and hurdles coming our way, it will not weaken our strength to get going." Encouraging also could happen while giving advice, such as in the third example, "I call upon all charity organizations in Malaysia to rise to the occasions by helping the needy, regardless of race and religion during this trying moment." The third discursive strategy is directing. So directing means bringing the discussion towards closure and resolution by reducing the equivocality of ideas. This also means that the leader will affirm his decision, and that can be seen through these two examples when the Prime Minister said, "The police and army have been mobilized to take stern action to control the situation. This includes closing down public places that are still frequented by public and restrain disobedient individuals." And secondly, when he said, "Therefore, the government has decided to extend the duration of movement control order until 14th April 2020. So when the Prime Minister has applied discursive strategy of directing, he is trying to show that there is no room for suggestions or anything that can interfere with his direction, instruction, I mean. Okay. The fourth discursive strategy is modulating. So modulating is in between encouraging and directing strategies. So the implication of modulating is that the right amount of urgency is required to make strong consensus that can be put into action. Two examples of modulating from the speech are when the Prime Minister said, "This trend is expected to continue for quite some time before the numbers of new cases decrease. Thus, this forces the government to extend the movement control order for a longer period of time." Secondly, when he said, "We will continue our effort to prevent transmission of COVID-19 until we can curb the virus by fully severing the chain." And this means that everyone's movement should remain in control. Okay, lastly, the last discursive strategies is recommitting. So recommitting means moving from a consensual understanding towards a commitment to action. So this means that after they have come to a consensual decision, everyone must put their commitment into making that thing into a reality, which also means that the leader is shifting his commitment from himself as the leader into the citizens and also other parties in the discussion. An example of recommitting is in the first example when the Prime Minister said this strategy will only succeed if public are not exposed to virus transmission through daily interactions. Thus, everyone must be ready physically and mentally to stay at home for a considerably longer period of time. He also ended his speech by saying, "We have tried our best to deal with the crisis we are currently facing, but let's not forget that the determiner of our success is the Almighty God." Before closing it with a dua recitation led by the Prime Minister himself. As the conclusion, so based on the examples given before, it can be seen that the Prime Minister has put a great effort to employ egalitarian interpersonal style, and he also has successfully utilized the 5 discursive strategies to facilitate consensus building when delivering announcement for first extension of movement control order. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening.